Or if I'm looking to create my policy automatically, I have an option here for policy generator, and I'll show you some resource link today where you can find more different policies available. So I am now into a policy generator, and let's see what we can do here. In this policy generator, I am interested to create a bucket policy, right? So this is my S3 bucket policy. What I'm looking for, am I looking to allow or deny something? I am saying I am going to allow something. So let's go ahead and allow. Principal. Principal is basically saying who. Is it be Ashish? It would be Alex, Jamila, Chris, or James. Who would be allowed to this? Or would it be allowed to everyone? So I would say star. Star represents everyone. So when I say star means I am making it publicly accessible. All right. Now, with service S3 that is expected, action on that object, who can do what? So I'm saying everyone can do what kind of actions they can perform, and we have a lot of actions to choose from. These are individual permissions which I can assign to an individual user. Like there is a permission called put object. So they would be able to store their object here. I can put another permission here, which can be for delete object. So they would be able to delete the objects from here. Or I can put a permission, very simple one, which is called get object. Get is basically a read. So I'm giving a get object permission, which is allowing them to read my data. So I'm giving a get object permission to them as we have selected. Now, next thing is says Amazon resource name. This is important. Every object you create in AWS, whether it is a bucket, whether it's a EC2 machine, whether it's a Lambda function, whatever it is, they all get a unique name. That name is called ARN, Amazon resource name. So let me go ahead and talk about that name here. So if I go to my bucket here, my bucket name is this, but the ARN is like this. See this, ARN AWS S3 BeSA something something. So I copy this, and this information I can put into my policy generator. I am pasting it here, and now I would say, okay, I'm happy. Let's add a statement. So what happens now that I get a object ready for me, a policy being generated for me. I would now say generate policy, and it would create the JSON document for me. So this is having some information like ID of the policy, version number. Now this version number is not of the policy, it is the version of the JSON. Java state object notification language, that version is 2012. So don't get confused. This is not the policy creation date. It is a JSON version. It has a statement ID. We don't need to worry about all these things. This is important. What I am allowing, get object. To whom, what I'm doing, allow or deny, I am saying allow. Principal says to whom. If I put person's name here, only that person would be allowed. But here I have put star, means I am making it public. And to whom, which resource. So this is my resource name. So if you read this, I am saying I am going to allow reading to everyone for this particular bucket. This action applies on object. I can copy this whole thing, copy, and I can then paste this thing into my bucket policy example here, right? I can go ahead and say paste. Now I have a bucket policy which is allowing get object permission for me. Are we clear here? Anyone, any questions, any doubts, any confusions, anything which is not understood? So hopefully everyone is clear and understanding the topic and understanding how we are doing it. So what we can now do, I can click on save. But I am giving you a warning here. As soon as I would click save, I would get an error. I'll explain that error in a minute. See this. I click save and there is an error coming up which says action does not apply to any resource in statement. Not the best not the best error message, but what it is trying to do, it is saying that, hey, which action I am allowing? I am allowing action called get object. But here the resource I have given is the whole bucket. So bucket is not an object. Bucket is a bucket, right? So what I'm looking for, we are looking for allowing access to slash images slash star dot png. What would happen now? Which means in this bucket, every object which is into images folder which has an extension of PNG that I am going to allow. So we have to put a star here, or at least identify which specific object. If you want to make one object public, say file1.png, that's all. We do not need to worry about it all. So here I have to be very specific what I am going to allow. Now to make things easier for everyone, what I'm doing here, I am just replacing this whole stuff with star. Star is a wildcard. This is basically making every object within that bucket public. And now once I'm happy with this, I can now save changes and I would have my bucket straight away become public. And now I would start getting a message here at the top. Hey, red warning sign, this bucket is publicly accessible, which means anything which was not working for me before, see this access denied, see what happens, right? What we are seeing here, we are trying to perform action on it, and see this, now my CSV to Parquet file is have ability to download, which means I am basically able to download it. Let's verify some more stuff here. What I have in this particular bucket, I have lots of pictures. Now today is a food day, so a coffee day, I would say. In a way, the I'm not talking in the actual day perspective. The examples I am taking are from that. So if you remember, the bucket name which we had was this BeSA, and in that I have some stuff. I have some stuff which is HTML file. There are some font, there are some images. So let's go ahead and check images inside. In this images folder, we again have stuff related to burgers, dessert, dish, and then drinks, and then gallery and menu. So let's go ahead and see, after pizza, why not a dessert? So let's try that dessert. So this is my dessert1.jpg file. Obviously it has an object URL, and now as this is public, if I go, I can paste this URL here and I should be getting a whole object delivered to me. So it looks like a nice dessert which we can have, right? So what I did, I made the whole bucket public. But what if I want to perform some additional step? A common thing which customers use S3 for is to host a static website. Now S3 is just a storage. It cannot run your Java code, or it cannot run your PHP code. It can deliver content to your browser. And if you are using some languages like JavaScript, which are compiled and run on the browser side, or which executes on the browser side, you can use those JavaScript to run and display the whole content as a website to my users. That is possible. So if I see this BeSA structure, in that what I have kept some HTML file, some CSS file, some images, and then some ICS file which we uploaded JavaScript. So these is basically a folder structure for a coffee company website. Let's go ahead and deploy the coffee company website from here. Main page of that coffee company website is in index.html. So what I'll do now, I would ensure that if a request comes to my application, I would get a URL, and that URL points to this index.html file. So let me go ahead and put this information there. So I'll go to its properties. I am leveraging a feature of S3, which is called making it a static website. So I'm using S3 bucket. I am going to its properties, and here at the very bottom, there is an option which says static web hosting. Do I want it? I would say yes, I want it, and I would say edit. And in this case, it will ask me some question. Are you okay to enable it? Yes, I am okay to enable it. Thanks for asking. Now, I want to host a static website. I could redirect it to somewhere else also. So I am Zeb, I would open it. I'll obviously invite you. So I have index.html file here, and now I say, what is my index file? So my file name is same index.html. I would put it there, and maybe if I have an error page, I would be opening up and say, hey, error.html, which I am putting it here. Right. If I have any redirection, I could put it. I'm keeping it as simple as possible. So my request will be forwarded to index.html. I save it. Now S3 would be giving me a unique URL to represent my website. And that URL is visible here. Give it a few seconds and see this URL. This is now not directly referring to index.html. It looks like a very formal website, not very friendly name, but I can take it to a DNS server, and from there I would be able to make it a friendly name like mycoffeeshop.com and take it from there. So I copy this URL and let's open it into a browser and see what the result looks like. I'm opening it into a browser, and what I will find here, I would find a different website running it, and looks very professional website. Home page, menu items are there, then there are services we offer, there is a blog post, there is a about page, and there are some links like there is a shopping cart, the menu items are there if you want to book a table. Now this one is purely going ahead with what, this is just a static content, and this is being delivered into my website. Right. So what I'm doing here, I am able to get all the stuff here and get it ready. Right. So hopefully everyone is okay now that what I did, I hosted a static website from my S3 bucket. Now it is not actually doing booking or doing processing of my order, but what I'm doing here, I can access this. Right. Right. So this is my access website which I have hosted, and I can utilize this, should not be a problem. Okay. So that is one feature which I talked about. Let me talk about some more features. So we talked about S3 namespace. Bucket is a regional entity. Now you would find a lot of time people talk about durability in S3, which is called 11.9. And then they talk about availability, which is 99.9x%, 9599, depends on different tiers in S3. Let me quickly explain what a durability is and why somebody would be interested into a concept of durability. Now, durability, if I have to write it down, I would say durability is basically a retention mechanism. Let me give an example. Let's say this is your office, a big building. You forgot your laptop here, right? And this building operates or runs from morning 7 a.m. up to 9 p.m. in the night. Only till that time people are allowed to access it. Afterward, you can't access it. So you went with your friend to a pub, you got late, you came back, office was closed. Your laptop is still inside. Now, office is closed. That's why I can't enter inside office. But it doesn't mean that my laptop got stolen. Laptop is still there. When early morning office would open, I would be able to go and get my laptop. So my laptop is durably stored within my office building. It is durability. So if I store a data in S3, that is giving me this much of durability. How? For you and me, I updated an object called object1. What S3 did at the backend, S3 copied that object to three different physical location or three different places, but within that region where the bucket is. So within that region, Ireland, S3 have copied my object to three location, ensuring that even if one of the copy get failed, hard disk get failed, we would still be able to get my object. So that is called durability. And durability here is 99.999. That means that if I store 10 million object, maybe over a period of 10,000 years, one object may be lost. What is the probability? Very less. But there is a probability of object getting lost, but huge less probability. That is what we mean by a durability. So durability is a mechanism that what is related to retention, that will my data be stored in safe way or not, that is called durability. Right. So durability, hopefully everyone is clear. Let me now focus and talk about availability. What is availability? Availability, I would say, can I access my data right now or not? Let's say you stored your data into an S3 bucket. Now, due to some reason, there is a network outage. So you can't access S3 right now. But that doesn't mean that my data somebody deleted. My data is still there. When I would have network established, I would be able to access my data again. My data is not lost. Data is still there. Maybe right now I can't access it, like in my building, operates from 7 to 9. So my data is still there, laptop is still there, but I can't access it right now. So that we mean by accessibility. Sorry, availability. So availability is 99.9x%, whereas durability is this much. Hopefully everyone is clear. Maximum object size we store is 5 terabyte. maximum we will store will be 5 terabyte, and we can do what, we can also host a static website on that. So static websites can be hosted, should not be a problem at all on that, like I have shown you an example. So that comes idea, hopefully everyone got the idea. Let me now focus on pricing. Now I'll give you here a golden rule that most of the AWS service pricing revolve around the thing I am going to discuss now. What are the common things we charge you for? Now it is pay as you go model. So in most AWS services, you will be paying for compute, you will be paying for storage, and you will be paying for network, plus some additional stuff. This is a common way. So compute, how in S3 your compute is calculated. So first thing in S3, you would be paying per GB. How much data you are storing, that much per GB cost you would be storing. So bucket can have 5 TB or a single object can be 5 TB. So hurry, bucket can have hundreds of 5 TB objects. Maximum object size for one single object is 5 TB, terabyte. But you may have hundreds of 5 terabyte object, no problem at all on that. Right. So storage is per GB as we see. How much you pay for compute? So compute is calculated based on number of requests. So when somebody is doing a get, when somebody is doing delete, when somebody is doing a put, these all are considered as a request which is coming up to Amazon S3. So Amazon S3 will calculate these numbers of requests and charge you for that. Network, we charge you for data transfer out from S3. Somebody downloads my file. So that would count one request for download, and the file was 10 GB. So that 10 GB will be counted as my data transfer out. So these are the three major factors we consider for every service compute. In terms of S3, it is number of requests. S3 storage per GB, and the network is how much data transfer out I am having. That is up to you what we want to store. So this is how my pricing would work. So these three things. Additional stuff we will talk about, like you are doing versioning and all the stuff that would cost money. So compute, storage, and network. Hopefully everyone is clear about that. Okay. Now it has lots of other features. Now I don't have time to cover everything. S3 is there from last 15 years, and I can't talk about 15-year or of innovation in just 90 minutes. So I will send you some detail where you can talk about versioning, replication, and transfer acceleration. Lots of interesting stuff can be done on S3. It is not a dumb storage. It's a very smart storage. It depends on the user how well they want to use it.